Hello and welcome back to the Auto Loons, and we are gonna do some more Gran Turismo Sport concept cars or Gr.X cars from the game. And this time we are gonna be looking at one of the most insane concept cars in the game. It's the SRT Tomahawk VGT. So let's head on over to Brand Central to check this bad boy out. It's an American manufacturer. Yes, it is Dodge, and this is their division that comes up with all the mad cars like the Hellcat or the more recent the Dodge Demon, the SRT. Alright, here we have it, the SRT Tomahawk Vision Gran Turismo, or VGT for short. You know, this thing is so mad, it has 3 variants in the game. So there is the SRT Tomahawk X, or the Tomahawk technology, which is the maddest one of the whole bunch. It is the one that has like maxed out everything. Okay, so you just go switch it to studio scenes. I like it in black. Ooh, it looks good in black. Right, so what this car has is a 6.98 liter V10, and it's almost a flat engine because it's at a 144 degree angle. So it is a 6.98 V10, which in itself is capable of producing easily, you know, over 1,000 brake horsepower. But since this thing is representative of, you know, 20 years ahead of just unrestrained mad performance, you know, as envisioned by Dodge SRT, it also has pneumatic cylinders for auxiliary power. Now the X version, this version right here, has an output of 2,586 brake horsepower. That's 2,500 brake horsepower. 4-wheel drive, and it weighs, wait for this, 749 kilos. That's right, 749 kilos. How they've done that? Well, since this is a purely fictional creation and does not yet exist, the concept includes, you know, more modern and advanced materials currently being researched and developed for its composite chassis, which includes hollow carbon nanofibers and graphene micro lattice structures. Like even the windscreen is made from graphene. You know, insane weight sitting measures. No, but this thing isn't a dragster. It's not just, you know, a point and go kind of car. It's a performance car in every aspect, so it'll also have to be very quick in its turning and its ability to go around the track. Hence as you can see, the wide array of aerodynamic elements to this car, and there's a lot of active aerodynamic elements. In fact, there are 9 independently actuating aerodynamic panels on this car. You know, and that's how this car handles really well around a track, where the rear wing and the secondary front splitter keep adjusting to track conditions and driver input. Like if it's, you know, if you're coming up to a corner, its scanners will detect what kind of corner, the change in the road surface and the angle, and then accordingly adjust the aerodynamic panels. It also has a pneumatic system for suspension and features an active camber system along with variable rate pneumatic springs, so that, you know, the system can lean the vehicle into each turn for a maximum tire contact patch and the best possible mechanical grip. So this thing is a hive of technology and active aerodynamics and insane power. Sorry, between performance and power. 2,500 brake horsepower and something that weighs 749 kilos only. I mean, it's clear that people who will be testing this car once they do build it will have to wear pressurized suits to deal with the amount of G-forces that this thing can develop. I mean, yeah, I mean, you'll see when we drive this car around just how fast it accelerates and just keeps on accelerating, and even how fast it loses power. That brings us to the next one, which is the middle child, the racing spec, or GTSR version of the Tomahawk. Now this thing has the same power unit, the same pneumatic cylinders, for auxiliary power, where there's two of them which run along the length of the whole wheelbase of the car. One is connected to each of the front wheels. This variable fin quad stage pneumatic power unit, and one is connected directly to the massive V10. But in this state of tune, this thing will produce only 1500 brake horsepower, actually less, for 1449 brake horsepower. But that's enough for this four-wheel drive machine to go around the track, because it has even more aerodynamic elements, and it has a curb weight of 663 kilos, almost 100 kilos lighter than the X version. So definitely all racing drivers, when this thing actually happens, or if this thing actually happens, will definitely have to wear pressurized suits to make sure that their body can survive the brutal G-forces this thing will put you through. Which brings us neatly on to the last version of the car, which is the street version, the Tomahawk S. One possibly the tamest, some might say. So this thing has a output of, this thing produces 1006 bhp and has the most weight at 921 kilos. I'm guessing because there might be some creature comforts in there. We'll see if we can get a cockpit view of this one. S can also stand, apparently in the reports, the S may also stand for start here, like you start with this version and then you kind of move higher and higher in terms of performance figures and dropping weight and more aerodynamic elements. It still has a lot of aero involved, but it's a lot less edgier, I guess, probably to pass the road legal constraints. So yeah, so this is the maddest Gr.X concept car in Gran Turismo Sport as of yet. So what we'll do now is we're going to take the middle child, since we don't have the X, the all-out, the big daddy. We'll take the middle one with 1500 brake horsepower and a curb weight of 663 kilos only onto a track and see what it's like. Alright, so we are with the Tomahawk GTSR, or the Tomahawk VGT racing spec on the Autodrome Lago Maggiore. I know I've never been able to pronounce this correctly, but this is a GP track where we will be testing this car by itself, so we want to be running into other cars all the time. One interesting detail I left out earlier was that this car, the designer, his name is Paul Host with an E at the end. So if you're just wondering who was the one who designed this mad beast. Alright, let's take this car for a ride. So straight away we are in the cockpit view right now, and you can tell the visibility is pretty much reduced to the front wheel arches, as you can see. And this cockpit, it seems like you're almost sitting, leaning into it. You have screens instead of even mirrors to tell you right behind you, to the left of you, and to the right of you. There are a bunch of controls. This is the racing spec version, so it has the full racing wheel with carbon fiber everywhere on the inside as well, and some sort of emergency lever on the left side of the steering wheel, if you can see. But yeah, it's a very minimalistic, full-on carbon spec here. And let's just see what it's like to drive. Let's just move out from these tight corners. Oh, it sounds good. Massive, almost 7-liter V10. Sounds amazing. Alright, so we're at this hill. Let's park it next to the cone. Let's take a look at this car from like this. Oh, that looks menacing. Alright, let's read a complete stop and just see how fast the numbers go from naught to whatever. 3, 2, 1, go. That's not to a 200 miles per hour in that space. This car is insane. I mean, one can only imagine how quick the one with an extra 1000 brake horsepower will be like. So yeah, this is the GTS, the race spec version, and as you can tell, it feels, in terms of handling, it feels insanely well planted on the ground. And watch, and the most interesting is how quick it loses speed. So watch this, 1, 2, 3, brake. We just went from around 200 miles per hour to almost not in those few seconds. Pardon, that's purple driving. But yeah, and check out those large air vents at the back for airflow and everything, and all the elements involved in this car. Check out the way that this flap just pops up. It's like dual element rear wing just flaps up the moment you floor it, because it just up to speed in no time. The way it just keeps adjusting itself to give you maximum downforce to make your way around corners. So yeah, this thing is a track beast. But tell you what we're gonna do. We are going to go and switch cars and go bring the street spec version, see if we can get a cockpit dash view of that, see how that performs. And we're also gonna go buy the X version and then take it to the straight bit on the Nürburgring and just see how fast we can make it go. So let's do this. And we are back with the Tomahawk S, or the street legal version, or pardon that noise, or the start here version of the Tomahawk concept. As you can tell, it still has plenty of aerodynamic elements. Switch to cockpit view, and you can tell it's still very much a racing car with all the carbon fiber bits and the minimalistic design. It's obviously a one-seater because it is purely for performance. It is a street legal version, but I'm not quite sure if you would be taking this car to the shops at all. It's got a racing it's got a racing steering wheel, racing controls, carbon fiber everywhere. Yeah. And let's go see how this feels, how 1006 brake horsepower feels in about, when it's about 300 kilos heavier as compared to the earlier 1500 brake horsepower version with just 663 curb weight. Right away I can tell you this thing does not handle as well as the GTS. You can tell it's a little more bulky, it's a lot more weight to pull around, but it is still quite quick. It probably won't be as quick as the GTS, of course, but let's just see with just how much of a difference it is. It does look pretty good in red as well, even without the black accents, or the other one with the. I still prefer the one which is black with the red accents, but even in just solid red, it looks decent. Alright, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Go. Okay, so this thing got up to a very reasonable 170 miles per hour in that short stretch. But the street version is also quite capable in the way it loses speed. Obviously not as good as the GTS version with the rear wing and the active aerodynamic elements at the back, but this thing is still quite quick and quite capable as a single-seat hybrid car. So I suspect that if this car were ever to be a reality, and if they do ever launch a street legal version of the Tomahawk, it would have 2 seats which would obviously increase weight, and they would have to shift things around to make sure it's still a balanced car in its performance and on the road. But yeah, this should be interesting, very interesting car. It's very, very different in terms of how it feels and responds compared to the track version, the GT SRT Tomahawk. But we are gonna stop right here, and I shall bring you guys to the straight bit of the Nürburgring with the X variant, the 2,500 brake horsepower variant. So just and we're there, and 1, 2, 3, and here we are at the Nürburgring. Right at the beginning and at the end of the curve that leads onto the long straight. Now I will admit that there were a few incidents on the way till this part of the track. Yeah, the thing is, this thing, as you will see in a few seconds, accelerates with ridiculous urgency, and it almost seems as if I have glitched the game with the cheat code when it's going that fast around corners. So we will take this onto a circuit with corners and see if we can put in a lap just to see what it's like, and you can see all the elements at work. But you will also notice, like right now, all the flaps are closed. It looks almost like the street version. Yeah, but the moment we'll start moving, you'll see all the flaps pop up and start playing their part, and it's ridiculous just how fast this car is. So, are you ready? So I'll just move a little bit, line it up. See, there's the flaps, and stop, and they all retract into the car very neatly. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. That's kind of what I was talking about. I didn't speed up the footage, the game didn't glitch out. I made that turn at that speed with that sharpness, and it shed speed that quickly by deploying its wings like some kind of fighter jet. On the inside is pretty much the same as the GT S version and the street version with the complete carbon fiber spec, and just all the minimal functionality is required for a racing car. But yeah, this car is just insane. What we're gonna do now is going to take it to a take it to a circuit and do a whole lap and do a cinematic replay, and then you get to see just what this car looks like when it's in action. So what happened was, I couldn't really handle this car's performance and put together a neat enough lap for you guys. And I really wanted you guys to also see what it is like to try and drive this car in the game, and how everything just kind of becomes a blur, a distortion, like a glitch in terms of just how fast it gets. So I'm going to do one lap of me driving the car, and the second lap is a cinematic replay of the AI which was in front of me, which was doing a much neater lap, if not driving at 100%. So hope you guys enjoy that. Alright folks, so there we have it, the SRT Tomahawk Vision Gran Turismo in all its three forms, X, S, SRT, all possible variants, all manners of mad power outputs from such a lightweight single-seater race car. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Stay tuned for the next one and be sure to subscribe, drop a like, and let me know in the comments what you think of this and what you would like to see next from the Auto Loons. Cheers.